Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Center for Creativity. Whether you're watching on the live stream or you're here in the room, we are so glad that you decided to spend this very, very cold morning with us. I'm always so happy when the series kicks off again, getting to see familiar faces, new faces. It's just a joy to have all of you here in the room. My name is Anina Collier. I'm the Dean of the Center for Creativity. And as you probably know, this was supposed to be our second in the series, but because of the snowstorm last weekend, it's now the kickoff workshop. Good news, as probably you know, we did reschedule that first workshop, which was I Can't Keep a Beat with Sistema Tulsa and I Can't Sketch with Urban Sketchers. That will now happen at the end of the series, so Saturday, March 7th. If you registered for those workshops, your registration rolled over, so you don't need to worry about re-registering. But if you haven't registered, you can still do so. Before we really get rolling, if you're new here, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Restrooms are right here. There's a water bottle filler out there in that foyer. And this is the spiel you'll just have to hear every time. Who's heard about Tulsa Achieves? Yay, almost every single person. I'm so happy to hear that. So what this is 2 years of free college for every student who graduates high school in Tulsa County and now a few other high schools as well. And so this is for public, private, or homeschool students. It's just what it sounds like. There is no catch. There is no gotcha type of thing. It is an incredible model for creating an educated community. So if you have a young person in your life who may not know about Tulsa Achieves and 2 years of free college, please grab one of these postcards on your way out and make sure that they know about it. So this is going to be a really fun workshop. Melinda always brings just like so much exciting energy, and I'm happy to let you know that Miss Melinda Blank is now the new executive director of our partner, the Tulsa Foundation for Architecture. Congratulations. So let us do, you just clapped, but let's do it again. A big warm welcome for Melinda and our partner, the Tulsa Foundation for Architecture.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me all right? Thanks. Well, thank you so much for coming out and facing the bitter, balmy cold out there. I'm Melinda from Tulsa Foundation for Architecture. So thrilled to be the kickoff. It's so exciting. Today we're going to do a really fun, simple project to make stained glass out of tissue paper. You have all of the supplies that you need at your table. So you have a pair of scissors, a foam brush, a glue stick, a frame. So this is obviously going to be the outside of your project, 2 pieces because they're going to sandwich on top, and then a piece of parchment paper here. And I found by doing this, the cheaper the better when it comes to the parchment paper. So this is just your basic baking that you find in the grocery store parchment paper. And then you also have a whole bunch of tissue paper. If you don't have the color or don't have enough tissue paper at your table, we have plenty of extra supplies in the back for you. And if you finish this one and you want to do another one, we have extra frames in the back for you as well. So the way we're going to get started is we're going to adhere our parchment paper to the first piece of our frame. You have a glue stick if you want to use that. I'm a Mod Podge girl, so I'll be using Mod Podge. Brianna and Rio, and our other fabulous volunteers. Thank you to our fabulous volunteers, by the way, who are going to be assisting you today. So they're passing out some cups with Mod Podge in it, but you can use your glue stick for this part. So you're just going to put a little bit on the edge here, all the way around. And the trick with the Mod Podge specifically, and I'm going to say this multiple times today because it's true, is a little goes a long way. So you really don't need a lot for this. And crafters like me love Mod Podge because it dries clear, it's an adhesive, it's just an all-around crafter's dream. Then you're going to take your parchment paper, you're just going to place it right on top. Most of the paper that you have at your seat is going to be bigger than your frame. That's no problem. We'll cut it to size when we're done. And there you go. A simple base to start with our project. So obviously this is going to be the outside, and we're going to be working on the inside part. So we're going to work on this back, that you will. When it comes to your tissue paper, the sky's the limit with your creativity. I tend to be simple. I like to cut squares. These are some finished examples that I make. This is what it's going to look like at the end. But you're more than welcome to cut shapes, to tear it, whatever's best for you. And then once you have your shapes cut out, your colors picked out of your tissue paper, you're going to get a little Mod Podge. And again, thin layer is key. You do not need a lot. The more Mod Podge you use, the heavier it's going to be, the longer it's going to take to dry, and it's going to get kind of gummy. So just a really thin layer is all you need. And I put the Mod Podge, I work as I go. So I don't cover the entire sheet with it because it's going to dry by the time you get down. So you're going to work in sections. And again, because you're working from the back side, you can go to the edge here because you'll have a pretty clean line finish from the side that you see. So you just put a small, thin layer of Mod Podge here, and then you lay your tissue paper on top. And then I go over it again, just the tiniest amount to kind of seal that down. Simple and easy. We'll do one more. And again, this dries 100% clear, so you don't need to worry about, overlaying or too much. There you go. So once you do that, you cover your entire piece. It's going to look like this. Going to look like this, and then you're just simply going to Mod Podge or glue your back frame to it to give it some stability. And then I wait until it's dry, 100% dry, to do this part, and then you just trim it and you're done. I will say the Mod Podge sometimes will make your piece curl a little. So it'll be kind of uneven as it's 100% dry at the end. In the museum industry, you'll just do something called flat training to it. So once it's 100% dry and you take it home, just throw a book on it for a little bit, and then it'll relax and calm down and it'll be completely straight. Okay, I think that's it for my tutorial. We'll be walking around, helping you guys, giving you extra supplies, answering questions, anything you need. But I think you're good, so have fun.
So I'm so glad that you remembered to thank the volunteers, because I felt terrible that I forgot to do that. Having volunteers here makes such a big difference, so we appreciate all of you, supporters of Tulsa Foundation for Architecture, so much. And also want to thank our True Blue lead, Gavin. He is one of the Tulsa Chief students that we were talking about, and he's a big help too. Thank you, Gavin. So, Melinda, while we're working, I have some questions about Tulsa Foundation for Architecture. So tell us about your mission.
Sure. So our mission at TFA is to celebrate the art of good design and Oklahoma's architectural heritage through education, advocacy, and archives. We're probably best known for our tunnel tours. We do about 50 public programs a year. We're also very active in the advocacy of saving and preserving our architectural legacy here in Tulsa. But probably what people don't know about us is that we have about a 70,000 piece architectural archive.
Oh my gosh.
It's the largest architectural archive in Oklahoma. And we are actively digitizing and making that archive accessible and searchable to the public online.
Oh, that is so cool. So right now it's housed at your building.
At our building, yeah.
But you're working to put it online. That's amazing. So the tunnel tours are so fun. I did one like many years ago. If you haven't done that, it is incredible what is underground here that we would never know about. Is it true that it was there to like protect oil people from gangsters? It's been a while and I forgot. So
most of those legends are not true. That actually is.
Okay, so I was not too far off there.
No. So a lot of the tunnels were built at different times for different reasons. But the very first tunnel that connects the Phil Cade and the Phil Tower was built for Wade Phillips around the time of the kidnappings during the oil boom. So he had moved from Villa Philbrook downtown and was living in the penthouse in the Phil Cade. And for the safety of him and his family, he built a tunnel so he could go from the penthouse underground up to his office in the Phil Tower to go to work and never step outside.
That's incredible. And so those tunnels, a lot of them are in use now, but some of them, is it true that some of them are only accessible through the tour?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
And specifically that one between Phil Cade and Phil Tower.
Oh, that's so cool. And so you said you're best known for those, but you do 50 other programs. What are some of the other things that you all are doing?
Our upcoming programming includes a historic crawl. So we do a lot of different crawls featuring neighborhoods here in Tulsa, where we open up 4 to 6 private residences, and our guests have the opportunity to go inside these homes and see the historical significance of the homes or how people design, use space. It's a really fun program. So the next one we're doing is in the White City neighborhood at Braden Park. We have 6 homes that are going to open up and show you around. Other programmings we do include drafts and designs, which is crafting, essentially workshop, much like this one, at a brewery. So.
Okay, hey, gotta love that.
But kids still welcome there too.
Yeah.
And then we do a lot of guided walking tours too. So Rob, one of our volunteers, is working on our Arena District tour right now, which is going to be really great, featuring around the BOK Center, Civic Center, Mayo Hotel, that area of downtown, and all of the specifically music history that comes from there. So
Nice. And I feel like if you grew up in Tulsa, or at least, I grew up in Norman, but was here a lot. You just don't realize how lucky we are to have this architecture here until you travel and see some other downtowns that have big buildings, but nothing like this. Can you tell us a little bit about why Tulsa has this incredible Art Deco architecture downtown?
Absolutely. So when Art Deco came into style, and I think one of my favorite things about architecture in the built environment is it really tells the story and the history of a city. So you can see when a city was really affluent and really booming based on the architectural style, because that's when they're building, is when that was in style. So during the oil boom beginning in the 1920s, Art Deco was in style, and so that's why we have so much, especially around time of Depression. A lot of other places in the country were not building, and Tulsa was. So we rank in the top 5 of cities with the most Art Deco. Obviously, Miami has us beat, but
Miami and maybe Chicago?
Chicago, yep.
And we're right up there. That's so cool.
Yeah. And because of organizations like TFA, a lot of those buildings were saved. So TFA began 30 years ago, 1995, to try to stop the razing and demolishing of a lot of these buildings.
Oh, thank goodness. I mean, what a loss that would have been. So tell us about, do you have a favorite hidden gem of Tulsa architecture?
Ooh,
or a few favorites?
Well, yeah, it's a hard. What is today? It changes every hour. A not so hidden gem, but probably one of the most beautiful buildings and one of the most impressive engineering feats that we have in Tulsa is the Mid-Continent Tower. So that building was built as a Cosden building. It's 16 stories.
As a what building?
It's called the Cosden building.
Cosden.
That was the original building. Joseph Cosden?
Okay.
Rob, yes, thank you, Rob. Yeah. My fact checker over here. He built it, and at the time he built it in 1918, it was the tallest building in Oklahoma. He was very proud of that. Our first skyscraper.
Okay.
And it stood just like that until 1984, when an oil company came in and decided that they wanted to build on top. But it turns out that building didn't have the structural integrity to be able to have an addition. So they built essentially an identical building right next to the Cosden building, and then cantilevered everything you see on top. So from the 16th story up on half of that building, it is a completely independent building that the tower is not touching it.
No way.
It's a phenomenal engineering feat. That took me a while to wrap my head around. But
that's amazing. Are there any private homes that really stand out to you as an amazing example of architecture?
Yeah, we have so many.
Yeah.
I actually just recently toured one at 27th and Utica, the Duran Mansion.
Okay.
Stunningly beautiful. It has only had 5 owners since it was built in the 1920s, and each one of those private owners maintained the structure, the integrity of that home. So all of the original tile is still in there. It's absolutely stunning. And I learned that man was the one who owned the land where Philbrook is, and he sold that land to Wade Phillips and built his home where it is so he could look down on Wade.
Oh, man. So he's a very humble man.
Yes, very humble. No competition happening there.
Oh, my gosh, that's wild. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that we haven't asked yet?
Sure. Well, and especially in terms of stained glass, I know when people think of Tulsa, they think of Art Deco, but we actually have a lot of amazing stained glass here as well, including at the Tulsa Garden Center. They have a stunning stained glass ceiling that Rob could probably tell you all about, too. And on March 1st, we're going to have a cathedral crawl featuring 5, maybe six local churches down here in the Cathedral District. And they're opening up their sanctuary, so you can go in and see all of the amazing stained glass that's in Tulsa now. And we're doing that program in partnership with the Tulsa Opera. So we're going to have pop-up performances throughout the day from the opera as well. So that's going to be
I love that.
a great one.
It's 2 of our wonderful partners working together. That's going to be so fun. I love it when artistic disciplines combine like that. And this is not going to reflect well on me, but if you've ever, I'm sure many of us have been in this situation where you don't go to do things in your own town until someone from out of town comes in. And so I guess this fall, I had a friend come in from New York City, and he works at Christ the King in New York City. And so he was very interested in seeing Boston Avenue. And my own child went to daycare there, yet I had never been in their sanctuary until my friend came into town, and we walked in. I just couldn't believe it. It's an amazing example of stained glass and wood and architecture. So that sounds like so much. When is that tour again? The
March
cathedral?
1st.
March 1st.
And Boston Ave will be on that tour. And also, they provide their own tours of the church in that sanctuary every
that's cool.
Sunday.
Oh,
So if you're ever
really?
interested,
Nice.
they'll give that to you for free.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll get out of your hair. Thank you for answering all those questions. That was fascinating.
My pleasure. So we've got about 5 minutes left, so go ahead and try to finish these up. If you would like to take some tissue paper home or another frame that's in the back, you are more than welcome to take some supplies home and do another one at home. Show your friends your newfound skill. So yes, you are more than welcome to take the tissue paper. Please leave the glue sticks and the scissors for all of those. Yes, ma'am. So that's a great question. She asked how to register for the tours. So you can find all the information for our tours on our website, tulsaarchitecture.org, or you can find us on Facebook or Instagram. All of our ticket sales are done through Eventbrite, so you can get that link through social media or our website. Thank you. That's a great question. Anybody else? Any questions? Well, I was so delighted to be here with you today. You guys have made some phenomenal looking stained glass. It might look a little opaque when you're finished with the Mod Podge on it, but I promise if you put it in a window, put some direct light, it will be really transparent, really beautiful. Diffuse that light as it comes into your house. And please take supplies home with you. Thank you, guys.
Yes, and thank you to Tulsa Foundation for Architecture for providing all these supplies and for coming up with such a cool and fun project and something that could be done at home too. So as many of you know, our next workshop that begins at 11 is I Can't Make a Fabric Heart. And that's going to be super fun. So during the break between the 2 workshops, Ethan is going to be coming around checking you in for that one. And if you didn't register, that's okay. I think we'll still have room. So just keep an eye out for him as he comes around to check you in for that workshop. Again, restrooms right over here, and feel free to take your time finishing up. Again, we want to thank our partner, Tulsa Foundation for Architecture, Melinda Blank, and the amazing volunteers for making this possible. Thank you so much.